If you've been thinking of investing in an off-plan property, then I have some pointers for you. Hello, my name is Wendy Ojiro. I'm a realtor based in Nairobi, and today I'd like to share with you some pointers on how to invest in off-plan properties. First and foremost is the location. You see, when you're buying into an off-plan project, you're buying into the future. So you have to assess your location and make sure, is there demand in that location? Is infrastructure good in that location? Is it a desirable area? Gauge this very well before you invest into an off-plan project. Will this still be the case 3 or 4 years from now? Do not invest in a dead location. Make sure that you observe the market trends. Get in touch with your realtor, who's a neighborhood expert, to find out the trend in that market so that you can invest in the right place. Location is the most important thing, because once you buy a good off-plan location, and if you look at most good off-plan projects, they're in emerging areas, because then the price is good and you can jump in at a good rate that will give you good returns. So location, key. Number 2 is the reputation of the developer. This is a relationship that will last 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. You have to make sure that you work with a credible developer who has experience, expertise, and has a good reputation in the market. Their credibility will be based on what projects have they completed. That should be your criteria. Have they been good quality? Are their clients satisfied? You have to take your time to go through the developer very keenly. Make sure they are people who are in an institution. Avoid individual developers, and make sure they are experienced. Once you've verified this, then you can consider that off-plan project. Number 3 is government regulation and permits. Off-plan projects are very sensitive, so it's up to you and your lawyer to make sure that you receive all the documents that are needed before construction begins. The main things that I look at are, 1, the title. Has it been transferred to this developer? Because when the title has not been transferred, then it has its own complications, and the developer really doesn't own what they're selling to you. You need to look at NCA approvals, city council approvals, the plans, the NEMA. You need to look at all of those documents. Make sure the developer has received all of this before you consider investing into a project. Then next, I look at the layout. You see, when you buy a property off plan, then you're buying a vision, you're buying renders, and it can be very confusing for some investors, because sometimes you get a project has up to 3, 4, 5 floor plans. So you have to look very closely. What is the layout that will work for you? What is the size in square meter? Is it the market size and the market rate, so that you don't overpay for a property that's too small? You have to look closely at that. How is the light entering into the apartment? What is the view? Are there any obstructions? You have to go through this very carefully, and preferably with somebody who's experienced in that, so that you don't have any regrets in the off-plan property that you choose, because it is truly a vision until the show house comes to be created. And then lastly, before choosing an off-plan property, I'm usually looking for the X factor in it, because off-plan properties have its own risks and challenges, and so you have to make it worth your while. You have to choose the best project in the best location and get into it at the best time. So some of the X factors that I look at are views, because views are a huge selling point. Let's say you have a view of the forest, or you have a beautiful city view. That's a plus. Or if you have a huge balcony, or the space is big, or you have good finishing, or amenities like a swimming pool, a gym. Or is it a mixed-use development, because this is emerging, because people want convenience? So you might find that more and more clients will want a property that maybe has a restaurant, has a coffee house, has a good, well-equipped gym with a trainer. So over and above the property, the developer, the reputation of the developer, you must also look at the X factor, make sure it is in line with the trends of the market so that you buy into a property that will be desirable to your end client. So off-plan projects remain a good investment because there is a real demand for property in Nairobi. Currently, only 10% of the population in Nairobi own their property. 90% are renting. So that means that if you buy a property, then you're able to rent it out. There's a sustainable demand for the rental of the market. So those are the main things I would look at before I even consider choosing a specific off-plan project. So please share with me in the comments below if you have any questions on off-plan properties, and share with me your thoughts, your experiences, and what you foresee happening in the next few years in our off-plan market.